progress.
All right, good morning.
Test. There we go. Now we're on. Thank you.
Hey, today I'm answering the one question I get all the time, which is, Tom, what do all the very best people do? Hey, welcome to the Tom Ferry Show. I get asked a lot of questions on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and usually the question looks something like this. Hey, Tom, what's the one thing I have to do to be crazy successful in this business? Well, I can tell you after 35,000 hours of coaching, there isn't one thing. But what I did do is I took some time and I looked at the collective of all the extraordinary men and women I have worked with over the last few decades. And I boiled it down to basically 5 things. 5 things. Call it 5 to thrive. Like, think about it like this. The market's a little bit crazy, right? Things are up, things are down. There's emotion in the marketplace. There's emotion in your business, in your mindset every single day. What can we do every day to take control, not only of our emotional state, but to make sure that we're doing the things that give us the power, which we've talked about so many times. So again, when I reflect on that one question I get, and I look at the broad scope of the thousands and thousands of people I've had the good fortune to work with one-on-one in small groups, they're all doing these 5 things. So let's go through the list together, and I'd love for you to do this. Check, I do it. Oh, I forgot to do that one. I'm going to add that back into my routine. Does that make sense? So let's look at the obvious one, number 1. Every single day, those of us that start our day thinking about the 7, 8, 10 things that we're grateful for. Now, you know this, I know this. My brother Matthew and I used to call it the 10-10 visualization, looking at 10 things I'm grateful for and experiencing that moment of gratitude. You know, in sales, it's an emotional state. If you meet someone and your emotional state is that of an energy-sucking, desperate vampire, you are less likely to ever get business from them. They are never going to refer you, and they're going to run, in most cases, from you. So the first thing we have to do is recognize how insanely great our life already is. So maybe you're sitting there and you're going, Tom, I've got no listings and no sales and no pendings. Ah! Okay, remember, you can still stop and say, I'm healthy. I have the opportunities in front of me. I've got a family that I love. I've got people that I enjoy spending time with. Find those 3, 4, 5 things that you're really grateful for and lock in that emotional state. The second part of that, the other 10, is to look at what are the 10 most important goals you're fixated on every single day. Now, I know when I say that, gratitude and goals, the vast majority, maybe you, maybe the person to your right or left watching this with you, you're not doing that right now. And here's what I know. Everybody is telling me, Tom, how do I improve my mental toughness? How do I get myself emotionally right? I'm afraid to make my phone calls. My response is, if you're not doing the inner work every day to make sure that you're grateful for what is already happening in your life and committed to achieving these goals, if you're not doing that, the rest of the show doesn't matter. Turn this off. Okay, let's go to number 2. Number 2 is you do a little planning session. Now, I know you're like, Tom, I plan, man. I get my yellow notepad out, or I go into Evernote, and I list out all the things I have to do today. Well, let me tell you, no rock star agent does that. No rock star agent says, what are all the things I have to do today? That, my friend, that's the wrong question. You always ask the better question, which is, what are the specific, measurable results I want to produce today? Now, you and I both know, ask yourself a great question, you're going to get some great answers. But if I say to you, what are all the things you have to do today? You could create a laundry list of activities that aren't dollar productive, that are not about generating opportunities, that aren't about serving clients, but they are going to make you feel productive when you cross off all those things you had to do. Think about it like this. If I said to you, what are the most important results you want to produce after watching this show? You might say, I want to secure the listing at 1234 Banana Street, and I want to get it at $497,000, and I want a 6% commission. Now, you write that down as an outcome versus, I got to follow up on that seller. Right? Big difference in the way your mind is going to look at it and act on it. You might write down, I want to schedule one appointment after completing my 554s today. One listing appointment, one buyer appointment. The more specific you get about the results you want to produce, then guess what happens? All that drama, that minutia, that clutter that's happening around us, that's distracting us all the time, suddenly you're like, hey, wait a minute, I just got to get 3 things done today. And when you keep it simple like that, my friends, the very best agents will tell you, they're not focusing on 60 things. I got to launch this listing today. I got to get my email marketing piece out and ideally get a 30% open rate today. And I want to secure blank listing at this price. They keep it really simple, and that allows them to laser focus. Number 3, obviously we've talked about this a bunch.
Sorry guys, that was the wrong video. But that's okay, because it was great. Tom Ferry's always amazing. But that video was 14 minutes long. I don't have time for that. So, with that being said, I'm glad it was still in the same idea of where I wanted to go with you guys today. You guys all have on your tables the definition of hustle. Hustle around here a lot, but I really wanted to talk a little bit about, Tom Ferry was talking about planning and organizing your day and having a strategic plan to get to the finish line, right? And then actually having a finish line. So if you look at the definition of hustle, it says, force someone to move hurriedly or unceremoniously in a specified direction. Push roughly or jostle. Hurry or bustle. Obtain by forceful action or persuasion, coerce or pressure someone into doing something or choosing something, sell aggressively, or obtain by illicit action, swindle or cheat. Who's a hustler in here? I love that you were brave enough to say that you are. You know what? Like I said, we use this word a lot around here, and I just hope that you guys are using it with your own definition. Not what it actually is, because if you're hustling like the dictionary says, then you're going in random directions. You don't have a plan, and who knows if you're going to reach a finish line if you even have a finish line. You're just randomly going. I was talking to Mike about it, and I said this is like Forrest Gump. I hope you guys all know who Forrest Gump is. But Forrest, they just told him to run, right? And he did a really good job. He ran, and he was in football. It helped him in the military. He did a really good job. But how he stopped, rewound just a little, played. This is how you can strategically get there. It's not just about running. Forrest probably could have even done even more, which is pretty impressive because Forrest did a lot. That was the main thing about that movie. That was really cute. So just keep in mind if you're hustling and if it's the actual true definition of hustling or if you're going to make a plan. And speaking of making a plan, you guys all know that I talk about it quite a bit when we have time management on the schedule. And it is, and I want to help you guys to have your plan. Talking about with not hustling. I see a lot of you, we are way to the spring market now, and you guys are tired. Who's tired? You guys are liars. You are tired. Because I talked to quite a few of you individually. Don't be afraid to say the truth. You guys are working hard. You guys are out there showing 30 houses with 30 offers on it, and you are working through an emotional market with buyers and sellers. People But I'm telling you guys, I've been exactly where you were. I know I talked about a few weeks ago where we were in our business when Mike and I first started quite a few years ago, that when the market was about 2013 and inventory was low and it was nowhere like what this market is, but it was low inventory and buyers were fighting over properties. And I keep telling you guys how we pivoted, changed, and we made a plan so that we could continue to grow and scale in our business no matter where the market is. Aaron and I talk about it all the time, that it really doesn't matter where the market is. You guys can reach goals. It's all about strategic planning, making sure that your time is spent wisely, and you can still have that work-life balance. And that's what time management is about. I don't want you guys to think that time management is this rough class where I just want you to be a workhorse and work, work, work. I don't want you hustling. I want you to get to your end game, but actually have some breather moments. And it is possible to do all of that. So in 2013, when buyers were fighting over properties, and Mike and I had been working quite a bit with buyers during that time, and I sat down with my coach and we talked in a month, a little funky like that. And he said, you really need to change the way that you are marketing your properties. And I've talked to you guys about this a little bit, but I've seen a few people start to do it. I know that Kira's actually doing it again, so I can't wait for her to share with you guys what the results are next weekend. Kira took a listing. I hope you don't mind. I'm putting you on the spot. I didn't even ask. Okay. I'm really impressed with what she's doing. She took a listing, and what price point is it, Kira? 410. So if you guys have some looking in 410, definitely talk to Kira. She's got a hot listing. I'm going to go live on Thursday. So she planned this strategically with her seller that they are going to, they took the photos early in the week. They're going to go live on Thursday. That gives her plenty of time to market for an open house. And her seller said that Wednesday. So it's going to sit on the market for a little while. And Kira knows this might be a little bit overwhelming. She might get a lot of offers. But what'd you tell your seller?
I don't care. That's what I'm here to do, and I want to pay him the highest, best price for his property.
Exactly. She wants to get the top price. She doesn't want to leave any money on the table. So the seller's like, heck yeah, all right, let's do this. I will sort through all of those offers. I will make sure that you get the best possible offer in this market. Win for the seller, right? I always talk about those win-wins. This is a win for the seller. He or she is going to feel confident, but it's a win for Kira because Kira is going to open house it. I think there's a few other agents in the office that are going to open house it along with her. Great job on the collaboration. You guys know how much I love that. And then she's going to have an opportunity to pick up more buyers, pick up potentially more sellers, market herself, brand herself in that neighborhood. And it's, like I said, it's a win-win for everybody. It's a lot of work. This is what we did in 2013. This is how Mike and I turned around our business because we were struggling. We were running around showing all these properties. And when we turned it around, set out to get 2 buyers, 1 seller, and catapulted. These are the things with time management and strategic planning that you guys can do in your business. And so I hope if you guys are looking to pivot, if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling burnt, come to time management on Wednesday. Set an appointment with me, talk with your productivity coaches if you're in CAPS, and let's talk about life balance. Can feel more productive and that your business is constantly growing because there's no reason in this market that your business should be flying the other way. So I do hope to talk to you guys. Yes, Kevin.
Kira also did something which is she partnered with and she went shopping in my trunk this morning and got a bunch of stuff for the open house. So just a reminder, if you're doing open houses, reach out to me. I've got stuff that you can put in the house.
Love it. Kevin, tell us real quick, what do you got in your trunk?
Well, I've got everything from pens to brochures to door hangers to flyers, you name it. We got it. Tape measures, keychains, whatever you need. And then if you get it far enough in advance, I can actually sit with you and go through our website. And you can actually go shopping on our Amazon site that we have internally.
Kevin will First American home warranty. If you guys don't know him, get to know him. Talk to him. He's got a lot of great tools to help you guys in your business. I love it. And I knew it too. One big clap for Kevin. Thank you. All right, you guys, I have Jason Federico back. I know last time he got you guys really pumped up about insurance. Today he's going to talk about investments. So come on, Jason. We have your PowerPoint pulled up. So there you go.
The Grim Reaper is back. All right. Appreciate you guys having me back. Jason Federico, Westpac Wealth Partners, financial advisor. Not going to talk about something that is quite as Debbie Downers the last couple of times I've been here. Let me keep a little bit more interest. Oh, Andrew, pass around the sheets. And then you can just if you have interest, sign it. If you don't, make a paper airplane out of it. Somebody doing slides?
Yep, right there.
Next slide.
Next slide, please.
Next slide, sorry.
There we go.
All right.
Wrong slide. Wrong PowerPoint. Okay. I should have invested often. Who says that?
Everyone.
Good answer. People that didn't do that. People that are approaching retirement or have already retired. I hear that from every single one of them. How simplistic that is. If you don't know what the magic of compounding interest looks like, do me a favor. When we're done today, if you take nothing from what I'm talking about, Google compounding interest. It's a phenomenal thing that helps you investing over a long period of time. Work wonders for things like retirement. So next slide. I'm going to try to jam through this in about 5 minutes to get Brian here on stage. I'm going to read through some of the common things I hear about why people don't start investing for retirement early enough. Okay, so the first one, I don't want to go through the paperwork. You would be absolutely shocked how many people come in my office, make 150 to 200 grand or more, and are in their 30s or 40s or even 50s, not started because they're afraid of paperwork. Legitimately, right? Like, we do everything. The only thing you need to know is your name, birth date, address, social. Maybe your driver's license number. I'm not sure where to start or who to trust. I got most trustworthy in 8th grade at Woodbury Middle School here in town. So I mean, that should eliminate everything. Kidding. We have so much compliance when we're registered with the Securities Exchange Commission and a regulating body called FINRA, that there are so many checks and balances that if I were to screw someone, pardon my French, you would be made whole. Now, it might not just be, I don't trust you in the fact that you're not going to steal from me, right? It might be in the fact that I don't know you from Adam, I don't know about your expertise level, things of that sort. Personally speaking, I've been doing it for 17 years. I've got every license you can possibly imagine when it comes to investing and things of that sort. The rapport, I hope, would come. And take pride in that. A lot of communication, very service-oriented. The trust you guys have with your people will build over. Rate of market volatility. Who knows what happened in the market March of 2020? What happened in March of 2020? COVID. Knocked the market down to 40% overnight, almost. About a week, okay? I had 2 clients that went on the sidelines, sold out from their positions in their equity markets, meeting one today for lunch. And we had a conversation the other day. She said, I am so pissed at myself getting to cash, being in a equity position. Can I get rid of this?
Can we switch them?
Thank you. Sorry. Appreciate that. Testing? All right. So my point is that I'm afraid of market volatility. Judging by the look of just about everyone in this office, we have a very long time horizon. My point in saying that she got out of the market, went into cash or cash equivalents, is the fact that when the market went down 35, 40%, she locked in her losses, right? Let's relate that to real estate. 2008 happened, subprime mortgage lending, real estate market goes down, I sell, okay? What do? I lock in my losses. Those are not realized gains. They're unrealized, or losses, I should say. They're unrealized losses because I haven't sold yet. Okay, so we have a very long time horizon. Everyone in this room has enough time for market correction to allow us to bounce back from any type of market downturn that's temporary. I don't have enough cash flow or my debts are too high. So this one is really about you. And I hear this a lot, right? But I see people overspending. They'll say, well, I'm making X amount, whatever that may be, because everything's relative. And I see what their lifestyle's like, and they're overspending for what they make and where their debts are. So, quote a movie, Jerry Maguire. Anyone seen Jerry Maguire in here? Okay, what's one of the famous lines in that movie? I knew that's what everyone was to say. I like, help me help you, right? Because it's the truth that you're never going to get started if you don't start making a plan right now. Budget with the amount of cash flow that you have, minimize debts, and start taking additional money and invest it early and often, as I said before. I'm going to work until the day I die. I don't think that's feasible. Sometimes we hear it. People are living longer, but oftentimes what I'll hear is that people love their lifestyle. And if they love their lifestyle today, I question why they spend every dime they have. And if that's you, ask yourself, is that me? Do I make a good living? Do I spend everything I have without being mindful of what my future is going to look like? And if you like your present day self and you like your present day life, think about the detriment that you're causing to your future life, because it's unsustainable with inflation, taxes, and everything else. Plan early, plan often. I think that's it. There was a young lady that asked me last time that I shared that I had a little baby. She said, you should have had your baby and your wife up in a picture. So I think that's the next. Oh, no, I'm sorry. One more slide. These are just dates. Traditional IRA, Roth IRA. April 15th, we have tax season getting ready to end here. If anybody wants to talk about this, there's a sign-in sheet coming around. These are the dates here. I don't know if you can see in the back, but it's April 15th for the top two. SEP IRA, if you're a business owner, it's to your extension date. Those dates are huge. Why? Because the top two, as well as the bottom, different dates, but same premise, are for last year. So if you're like, man, I'm sitting here on a bunch of cash. You get a bunch of realtors that call me this time of year and say, hey, I've got to contribute to my traditional, or I've got to contribute to my SEP. Why? Because they're doing their taxes with their CPA right at this moment, and they want to know how to maximize their tax savings. All right? And that's it. Next slide, please. There's baby and wifey. That's my wife, Christine, and my little baby, Scotland. Scotty for short. So thank you guys for having me. I'm going to introduce Brian. Brian and I have been best friends since August 28th of 1989, 33 years. We met in first grade the first day. I can't get rid of him. He's not much to look at, so give him a break. But he is a heck of a worker. So Brian with Pro Grade Carpet Cleaning. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Not nearly as exciting as this guy, but talk to you a little bit about some carpet cleaning. One more time, my name is Brian Morris. I own Pro Grade Carpet Cleaning. We do carpet, tile, grout, air ducts, pressure washing. We've got a great non-slip application for around pool areas or bathrooms for elderly or people with small children. And there's not a lot we don't do. There's not a lot of places we won't go. Been out to Pahrump a handful of times, go to Boulder City on occasion, residential, commercial work. We do it all. If you have a home, you have dirt, right? And there's no getting around it. If you mop, if you mop your floor, you're almost making it worse. A mop with soap spreads the dirt around. When the soap dries, it attracts more dirt, right? So unless you're spending 3 or 4 hours mopping your floors, you're making them worse. Carpet is a natural air filter, more so even than the air filters in your air conditioning system. It filters the door that goes, or the air that goes under your closed doors. It filters all the air that comes in through your garage. And then it settles, and it sits in there, and you vacuum it up. Now, your vacuum does a little better than your mop, but not much, because once that dust and dirt settles, it settles underneath the carpet, and then your vacuum can't pull it back out again. Same with your air conditioning system, the air ducts. Your air filters only do so much. 90% of us don't change our air filters nearly as often as we should, and they stop being effective probably about 2 or 3 weeks into having been changed. Or you're buying super high-end expensive filters which aren't allowing enough air to pass and can be damaging to your air conditioning system. So that dust that gets sucked up in there eventually settles down into the air ducts. This house here, that's about 10 years old, and probably hadn't had the filters changed in 6 months by the time I had been there. And this was actually a former daycare center that had been bought by a church and was being renovated into some things, and was they had excuse me, they had cleaners that came and wiped down the registers. Nobody ever went inside and did anything. So there was just stuff growing on the back of them. And that's the stuff that every time your air conditioner kicks on, that pressure in the air conditioning system, similar to how you have your door 3/4 of the way closed and the air conditioner kicks on, it slams the door closed. All that pressure is inside the system as well, right? And so what it does is it kicks up all that dirt, spits it out all over the house. That's why you have to dust 8 times a week, right? Because it just keeps spitting it up, throwing it out. You move, you live, it gets kicked back into the air, goes right back into the system, and it's just a repeating process, right? So these are some of the things that we can do. Dryer vents. This is how apartments start on fire. They don't clean them out in between tenants and things. That stuff sits in there, gets dried out, gets hot, and then up it goes, right? The one house there was about 3 years old, and I was pulling roofing nails out of it from when it was built, right? So you never know what they leave in there. You don't know what lives in there. And I mean, these here were both nails that were about 3 inches long, just sitting in there. And every time the wet lint goes through there, it just grabs on, holds it, and clogs it up. Just causes more and more problems. Your tile and grout. You'd be surprised what color your grout used to be. And even, like I say, you have a cleaner, you're mopping all the time, you're doing all these things. Your mop just doesn't have the power to clean the stuff out of the grout. Once it gets in there, it's in there, it stays there. Your main traffic patterns are going to gather all of what you brought with you from the street and the driveway and the car through the house. And your first 8 to 10 feet from your garage door probably into your kitchen or living room are going to be the worst, and they're going to stay the worst. They're always going to be that dirty unless we come out and get it cleaned up. Even these floors here, they look okay dry. You get close up on them and you realize, or I start getting them wet and put my solutions on them, and you can see what's actually down there and still coming up. And a lot of it is honestly just dried soap from running the mop over it and not rinsing it or doing other things. So a little bit of what we do is I don't put any of the solution through my machine. All of my solutions go on first. They do their job. We scrub, we do whatever pre-treatment we need to do, and everything I do is straight 200-degree hot water and vacuum to clean it out. So there's very little, if any, solution that I leave behind, which, again, the less solution on the floor, the less it dries, the cleaner it stays for longer, right? With the air ducts, we don't put solution through there. I have sealers and foggers that I can use through there if it was a house where there was a heavy smoker or something like that. I have a fogging machine that I can throw some stuff up in there that will help get rid of that smoke or nicotine smell that tends not to go away. In the dryer vent, we blow all that stuff out with the power of your dryer and the tools that I use, and that gets the 3 inches of lint that's been living there for the last 10 years out. The thing with that is you'll notice your dryer actually works. It will actually be drying clothes. You don't have to run it 2 or 3 or 4 times to get your clothes dry. And if you ever notice that that's what's happening, it's a lot of the time it's not your dryer, it's that it can't vent properly. So it just holds that moisture and holds the moisture, and your clothes end up holding the moisture. So that's one of the big things, especially with the dryer. People say, I ask people all the time, when was the last time you had your dryer vent clean? My what? We should do that. We should get in there and clean that out, because that's how your house or your apartment starts on fire. That stuff gets in there, gets dried out, and all it takes is just too much heat. You know, you get a busy weekend, you're doing a lot of loads of laundry or whatever, cleaning up after the kids, and now you've got a problem. The tile process is very wet and slippery. These are, you're okay, you can go to the next one. We do upholstery and cars, and I don't do as many cars anymore, but the upholstery. This gentleman has 4 kids that live at home. He's like, can you even just try and do something with these, and we'll see. He's like, my wife wants to buy new ones, but until then. And we were able to make them look new enough that he decided to keep them. A lot of that stuff will come out as long as it's not, permanent marker. And depending on the fabric, they will usually come pretty clean. Couches, dining room chairs, rugs. If it's dirty or your kids have been on it, I can probably get it cleaned up for you. But that's all I've got for you guys. Any questions or anything before I close up shop? Fantastic. We do. Funny thing about seal and tile. A lot of people misunderstand what sealing your tile actually does, right? People think, oh, I sealed the tile, I never have to clean it again. That's not the case. Sealing tile, well, it can, but what tile sealer is meant to do is a lot like a Scotch Guard used to. It is there to repel water, right? So if you spill a glass of red wine, it'll give you 5 extra minutes to get a towel and actually clean it up before it stains the grout. It's not necessarily going to keep dirt away. Now, granted, there's an extra layer of protection between, the floor and your sealer and then your grout, but it wears down quickly, and it's not designed to keep your traffic areas clean. So yes, I do it. I don't generally recommend it to people. It's cheaper and more efficient to have me come out and clean it every 6 months than to have me come out, clean it, and then seal it once a year, which is what needs to be done. A lot of people say, oh, you can seal it and it'll last a lifetime, which is true if you don't live there. If you seal it and move out, it'll last forever, right? But if you're mopping and you're living and you're still there, it just doesn't last long enough, and then it needs to be done again, and now you're paying a huge expense once a year.
Are you offering any discounts or specials for our clients?
Absolutely. Any of the Resolution Realty, there it is, I can say it, I swear, that you call me or they call me, and it's 15% off the top. If they're doing multiple things, I can go into larger discounts. If we're doing the air ducts and the tile and the grout, maybe we can get into a 25% discount or something like that to get them into a lower price. Absolutely. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Brian.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, guys, there we go. All right. Kira has the listing at 410, and that one is in Henderson. Sonia has one at 435, and that one is in Las Vegas. Aaron has a new listing for 539, also in Las Vegas, and another one at 640, also in North Las Vegas. There's a listing coming on the market for $750, also in Las Vegas, and Colleen Custer has one at $940,000. So if you guys have anyone in these price ranges, it's going to be up on my table. Just grab them and reach out to those listing agents and pre-sell these properties. I know that Jordan wants to come up real quick, or maybe even use Mike's microphone. Jordan has a new listing that a window that's just for you guys. The seller wants to work with Resolution Realty.
Hello guys, I have a listing coming up either Friday or Saturday. It's going to be office exclusive for about 3 days, so if you guys have any buyers, I'm giving you guys first dibs. The seller is looking for a quick closing, so preferably cash offers, but the address is 5558 Orchard Lane. It's a 2-story condo, 1 bedroom upstairs, 1 downstairs, 2 bed, 2 bath. 2-car garage. It's 1,244 square feet, and the listing price is $230.
$230. That's like the only listing in the entire market that's going to be available for that.
Yeah, so it's exclusive to you guys first. So if you guys need more details, you guys can hit me up. If anything changes, I'll post in the Facebook group.
Nice. Thank
It's Charleston and Hollywood, so it's on the east side, like far east. 5558 Orchard Lane. That's what
Right?
I'm saying. He's looking for a quick close. He's trying to open a business, so I mean, cash offers are king right now. So he's trying to.
Yeah, definitely. Bring the offers. Next week, I want to hear that he's in escrow with one of you guys. That would be awesome. Yeah, thanks, Jordan. You know what? That's okay, because it's like you knew. Mike was going to come up here. Mike's going to share with you guys a little bit of information because we've had a few fallouts this year. And I know everyone's experiencing this, and there are some ways to avoid falling out. When I say fallout, I mean you got into escrow, you made it all the way to an accepted offer, and then for some reason in that 30 to 45 days, it fell apart. And so Mike's got a good tip that he uses. No? Let's see. We'll see.
Okay, how many of you guys have ever had a problem with your home inspection? How many of you have had a deal fall out because of the home inspection?
Liar.
Was it an unreasonable buyer, an unreasonable seller, or an agent that did not properly prepare them for the results? Could be any of the three, right? Can't control an unreasonable buyer. We can't control an unreasonable seller. You can control the agent setting the expectations. How do you do it? I had some very, very simple things that I developed over lots of failure. First thing, explain to them what the home inspection is before it is done. Do not wait until that report comes back and they've already looked at it and they've already seen that they're buying a piece of crap that has 25,000 little things wrong. Tell them up front, here's what's going to happen. Is hired by you to pick this property apart. They're going to destroy every imperfection. If there's a crack in the grout, it's going to be on that list. If there's a cracked 39-cent cover on an outlet, it's going to be on the inspection. That's what you're paying them for. So they are going to destroy every tiny little thing they can find wrong with this property. I used to tell them at that point, now. And by the way, you should have prepared them for the fact that the property is sold as is before we get to this. Mm-hmm. So we're buying a property as is. Why do we have this inspector going out there? Because we don't want you to get a lemon. We want to know if there's something detrimental to your buying process. In other words, does the AC work? Is the water heater functional? We want big items. Are there a bunch of wires running all over the place like a jigsaw puzzle in the electrical box? That's what we're looking at. Do we care if there's a cracked electrical outlet cover? Listen to this carefully. I learned it works. No, we do not, because we're reasonable people. Use it exactly like that.
Yep.
We're reasonable people. We don't care about that. Now, what have you done? You have set the expectation that if they do have a problem with that, what are they? They're unreasonable. Any of you guys want to be known as unreasonable? Set that expectation and then continue. We are only concerned with items on this list that are detrimental to your buying process. If the AC is bad, we got a problem. If the water heater is bad, we've got a problem. If the electrical system is bad, we've got a problem. If an outlet is not working, we don't have a problem. We have a handyman issue. If there's 25 little items, guess what? It adds up to like $400 in a day of a handyman coming out to the house. In this market, do we want to go back out there? I'm assuming that they've written a bunch of offers that you tell them, do we want to go back out there? Or do we want to get a handyman in here after closing and have him spend 5 hours and change the diverter, which, by the way, there's always a bad diverter for the tub. Have him change the diverter. Have him change the electrical outlet that doesn't work. Have him balance the fan. Yeah, that's right. People get all pissy about a fan that wobbles a little bit. But if you can properly set the expectation and let them know, famous one that Annette started, I took, telling them, guys, think about it this way. If you were the seller, would you make the property better on your way out the door than it was when you lived in it? Would you? put it back on them because nobody's going to do that. You're not buying a brand new property. And by the way, all you guys that are with me all the time know I use the property of we, right? Collectively, we. For those of you that haven't done this before, when you're hearing this from me, it's now we, because it's us as a group. We have had home inspections done on new construction. Do you know what? They came back with findings. They came back with findings. Were they significant? No. Were they there? Every single time. Brand new construction is not perfect. So set the expectation, make sure they know. Number one, they're buying a lived-in property. Number two, nothing matters unless it does. And number three, the seller is not going to give you a perfect property when they've been living there for the last 10 or 12 years in an imperfect state. As long as you can have them prepared for that, almost guaranteed that you can overcome whatever's in that home inspection. Almost.
Yep.
Now we're back to the unreasonable people, and for that, we're talking a whole nother conversation. So,
Yeah.
and that's going to take over again. I hope it was helpful. If you have more questions, hit me.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, you guys, keep in mind and educate your clients that properties in Nevada are sold as is. The purchase agreement already says it. So prepare them for that and tell them that the caulking around the bathtub is welcome to home ownership. It is not an opportunity for them to ask for the repair. And one more that I think Mike was going to touch on and probably skipped over real quick. Tell your buyers the truth, you guys. If they're going to send the entire home inspection report for repair request, they're going to get rejected, and the seller is going to be happy when they cancel. Seller doesn't have very many reasons to get out of a contract, but they're going to be very happy when the buyer cancels and they can move on to someone that's not asking for a laundry list of really a honey-do list that should happen once they become the owner of that property.
And Annette's right. I had it happen to me early on in several of my first, before I learned anything. Literally, the buyer would say, I want it all. All of it. I'm paying them what they want for their house. They can fix it all.
Yep.
Guess what? I lost a lot of escrows that way. Don't be me.
He did. You didn't lose very many. I'm just kidding. Yes, Kevin?
Another reason to put seller coverage in from day one.
Wait a minute.
Correct.
Hey, you know, I got to get my plugs where I can. I told Annette I would
Love
jump
it.
in where I could. But honestly, you've got to put seller's coverage on day one because the diverter that he's talking about, it's unknown. Like they probably didn't know that there was a problem. And now the inspection's coming back, we cover that. You know, so it's like it's the little things that will be covered that come up during the inspection, like the leak underneath the sink that no one knew about. You know, those kind of things. So just put your seller's coverage in place.
For those of
I'm
you
sorry, Kevin,
wondering,
real
the
quick, how much
diverter
is
is that
seller
little
coverage?
lever. The diverter is the little lever that decides shower or bath. Shower or bath.
Yep.
They're bad in every house.
Yep. Yeah, and if you guys want to know more about seller's coverage, Kevin's amazing. Just call, text, or email him, and who will you in. How are we on time? 14 minutes. Should we do a market update, you guys? Let's jump right into it. Valerie and Andrew are going to share with you guys some national and some local numbers. So come on up, guys.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Brian, if you can put up our slide, please.
All right, elephant in the room. Who saw the slap heard round the world? Okay, jeez.
That's funny.
Thank God. And then we heard the joke, right? What did Chris Rock find on his face when he woke up the next morning? Fresh Prince. Ba-dum-bum. Had to
Anyways,
say
Market Watch.
So how does that relate to the market? Let's talk about it.
All right, we're ready for our PowerPoint, gents. All right, so the main question we have today is, do you have a relevant market opinion based on actual facts? Because we know a lot of our clients out there in the general public, they all think they know everything, and they certainly have opinions. So I'm going to pose again, do you have a relevant opinion about what's going on? So as you can see, mortgage rates have gone up nationally. We're sitting close to almost 4.5% and happened very quickly. Rising inflation, escalating geopolitical uncertainty, and the Federal Reserve's actions are driving rates higher and weakening consumers' purchasing power. So keep that in mind. We're going to dive into that a little more. Next slide, please. Here you can see what's happened since just 12/30 of last year. It's been a very quick rise. We're close to 4.5% already from 3.11. Here's what's important. Headlines are saying that home sales are going to fall. Well, they fell in the past several months because of the supply. We just don't have the inventory. It's not because of these interest rates. So that's an important note to remember when talking to your client when they're telling you what the headlines are saying. Want to add anything to that? You're good?
You nailed that.
All right. Mortgage rates are likely to continue to move higher throughout the balance of 2022. Although the pace of rate increases is likely to moderate. Much of the increase in rates in early 2022 is in anticipation of what will happen later this year, especially with Federal Reserve interest rate policy. In short, what does that mean, guys? They're going to continue to raise, but not at the pace we've seen since January. Okay, so we went from 3 to 4.5 very quickly. So now at 4.5, it might go to 4.6, 4.62, 4.65. It's going to be at a much slower rate for the rest of the year. All right, this next slide is really interesting. So it's talking about impact of rising rates on home prices, so how it's affecting home prices. The impact of rising rates going back to the 90s has not had a negative impact on prices.
Say what?
Yeah, when we saw those rates raise more than 1%. A lot of people assume they would and still will, but history tells us a different story. On average, there's been an increase of 8% in prices. How interesting is that, guys? Going all the way back to 1993. So what is that saying in short? Even though the interest rates are going up, that doesn't mean the buyer demand is going to slow down anytime soon.
Still a supply and demand issue. We say it every single week. Supply and demand. And although we're seeing rates increase, sure, the buyers are still there, and if not more so there, because they're going, oh my God, rates are going up. I got to buy now. I got to buy now. I got to hurry because rates are going to shoot up to 40%. I know it. And you're going, hold on, slow down. But it's still there.
All right, so this next slide is a look at home sales in the same time period as we saw those interest rates rise. So look at the red. On average, home sales dropped by 11%, but there's two outliers there, and we're going to go in detail on the next slide. So in 1993 to 1994, the rate increased by 2.38%, and that gave a final interest rate of 9.2%. Experts are not predicting anything like that to happen in this coming year or next. So we can just go ahead and take that one out of the equation. And going back to 05 and 06, we all know what happened there. So that's another outlier that we don't really have to take into consideration. So let's go ahead.
When you look at the other, go to the next slide. I think, Rye. No, go back to. I'm sorry. There we go. So when you see here, those two big outliers right there is what's driving our average right here. But as you can see, it was well within that plus or minus 2% range on home sales. We're talking home sales in units. So when you think of plus or minus 2%, well, we're averaging 4,000 to 5,000 units being sold every month here in Vegas. So if you apply 2%, we're talking about 100 homes that didn't sell compared to the year before. It's a drop in the bucket.
Yep.
A drop in the bucket.
We're okay with that.
Because we're still like, hey, we still sold 4,900, not 5,000. Whoop-de-doo.
Yep.
It's a 100 home difference. It's not that big a deal.
Yep, so bottom line, we can't sell what we don't have, right? So if we do see that 2% drop in home sales as projected as history tells us, like Andrew said, for our market here, we're looking at 100 to 200 homes tops month over month. All right, so let's go.
Two more?
Yeah, two more.
Or that one right there.
Yeah, that one right there. So this one's really fun. So this chart here shows what the monthly inventory was for those previous years. Each one you can see still had close to about 5 months of inventory on the market. Are we anywhere close to that?
We have 5 days of inventory.
Yeah.
If we're lucky. If we're lucky.
We're nowhere near that today. So more to the point, we aren't seeing home prices drop. because of the buyer demand and what our inventory is supplying at the moment. All right, next slide, please. While higher short-term interest rates will push up mortgage rates, I expect some of this impact to be mitigated eventually through lower inflation. What does this mean? Here's what they're saying. Inflation is what's driving up the interest rates right now. This will not be the case forever. They won't go away tomorrow, but it definitely is not a long-term situation that experts are projecting. Thus, I expect the 30-year fixed mortgage rate to continue to rise, although we aren't likely to see the big jumps that occurred over the past few weeks. This is another nod to they will continue to rise, but not at the pace that we've seen since January.
And for those unfamiliar, inflation, again, we see inflation going up. Why? We have way too much money out there chasing too few goods. So when inflation is low, it means we have not enough money chasing all the goods, which would then bring prices down. So they're trying to get ahead of it. The Fed is by raising interest rates. It's in response to inflation, but it's still not impacting anything that we're seeing on a supply and demand front. They're just trying to mitigate the inflation, but you have all this money out there still chasing too few homes, especially here in Las Vegas. We're at less than 2,000 single-family homes on the market. Less than 2,000. We've got one person in here who somehow managed to get the one that was under 300,000. So kudos to them. But I mean, that, again, it all ties back. Supply and demand.
Yep.
Supply and demand. Keep going.
So here's the bottom line. With rates rising and expected to rise through 2023, it makes sense to obtain a purchase or refinance mortgage if you're in good standing.
We're still seeing record low interest rates, even though they're at 4.5 or 4.25. If you have a great credit score, right? 30 years of data says these are still historic lows on interest rates. So if you haven't refinanced from 5% or 5.5% before, and you were foolish not to when they were down at 3, you can still do that now and still get a great mortgage with a great interest rate right now. Right now.
All right, we're going to let Andrew take you home with local market stats.
Let's look at the local stats. Oh, boy. Oh, God. All right. So, month supply. There we are. 3 days supply. Next slide. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Not good. Not good. All right. Total new listings. We're seeing our regular ebbs and flows based on time of year. So we see our little dip here in the winter months. We're getting into springtime. Springtime is always a very busy time. Now, don't ask Sonia. She thinks every month is a busy month for her. That's fine. Sonia's a rock star. She's cool. But we're getting into our spring market. It's going to get busy again. Wildly, wildly busy. You see a lot of people getting through the new year. They've got tax returns coming, or they're filing their taxes. So now they're like, ooh, selling makes sense for us now. Or, ooh, let's go buy because we got our tax return back and we've got that down payment and we're ready to go. So we're seeing new listings and cancellations and everything. Total new listings, it's all on the rise because we're hitting that springtime of the year. Oh, Lord. I can't read that either because it's in yellow. If you looked, oh, never mind. It's all good. It's high. Let's just say it's high up there. Or it's on my laptop here. Let me see if I can pull that for you. No, I can't. Too blurry there as well. It's high, everyone. Don't worry. All right. Total inventory. All right. Total SFRs. There we go. As of yesterday, total single-family resident homes, 1,849. Oh, my God. We can't get back above 2,000 no matter how hard we try. We're trying. You factor in condos, townhomes, everything else, that only puts us at 2,276. Good God. Okay. Oof, boy. Yeah, jeez. If you move out of the city, you might be looking good there. If you're trying to move within the city, good luck. All right, next slide, Rye. Next slide. There we go. Okay, so again, we're seeing this increase in interest rates, and everyone thinks, oh my God, interest rates are going up. Oh, there's no inventory. Sales have got to be dipping, right? No, they're not. Still staying consistent. We're seeing sold units here was at 893. I looked back at this month. We still averaged almost 4,000 sales just in March. 4,000. And that's on pace with what we've been seeing month after month or month over month for the last 12 months. We're still seeing 4,000 transactions happen in a given month. Lots of transactions to be had out there. There's people certainly interested in selling and either wanting to upgrade because they've got the money, or they want to get the hell out of Dodge and bail to some other state or city. So there are transactions out there still to be had. Go ahead and go next slide. Bye, Eli. Total price reductions, interesting. We're seeing some price reductions, a little tick up in price reductions. If it's not being sold, what's the biggest reason? It's overpriced. We know that. We know that, and we're still seeing some sellers. I thought it was somebody on Achievement Team. They're working with a seller. Their home's valued at about $210,000. They want to list it for $300,000. They're not budging. They're not budging. Well, it's going to sit on the market then. You're going to get offers that are going to lowball you because that's what they should be doing. You still have a couple sellers trying to do that, and until they realize it, we'll see the price reductions, I think, continue to tick up slowly. Go ahead and hit the next slide, right? Oh, gosh. Okay, here we go. Inventory for under $275K doesn't exist. That price point's not here anymore. Except Jordan. Jordan's got the one. Here we are, 0.3 months supply. Good Lord. Next slide, right? Now we look at months supply, 275 to 500. Only at 0.4. My God. This is just, I can't. Even at under 500,000. If you've got something in 400 to 500,000, that seems to be the new norm. Next slide, right? Let's look at 5 to 1 mil. Got a little better. We're at a month's supply. So I know. Oh boy. A month's supply. So you're seeing a little competition, but still it's a month's supply, guys. It's still extremely competitive, even between 500,000 and $1 million. We're seeing some agents here, they're putting bids on houses for 700,000 and they've got 8 offers they're competing against. And you're going, it's a $700,000 house. Oh my God, what the heck? Still extremely competitive. 1 mil plus, let's hit it. Hey, 2.5 months. Okay, not bad. Let's all tackle that luxury market and make it happen. 2.5 months and 1 mil plus on supply. But we see our stable market is still at 6 months. So, I'll say it again. Supply and demand, baby. Supply and demand. All right, that's your quick market stat for Vegas. Whew, holy crud. Annette, come on up and round us up. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Andrew, for running through that. I know it sounds a little dreary, but the thing is, there's a lot of listings coming to the market, and they're selling really fast. And so when he said there was how many listings on the market? How many single family?
4,849.
But he said there were 4,000 sales. Did you guys hear that? There's a lot of opportunity out there. So don't let that be that Debbie Downer moment, or let yourself get into the mindset of there's no business out there to be had. I say it every week, get your piece of the pie. Commit to doing it, and I promise you guys, you will be successful. If you're struggling in your business, that's what I'm here for. I want to help you guys succeed, so come talk to me. We're going to wrap this up. I just have a couple quick updates. I'm going to actually join, me and Kira are going to do some circle prospecting phone calls today at 2 o'clock. Anyone who would like to join us, we're going to be in the training room. I'm going to have scripts. I'm going to have phone numbers. If you want to get comfortable with it, or if you just need that little boost of someone helping you get over that bump of starting to make those calls, join us. 2 o'clock today. We're going to start doing this more often, but I hope to see more of you with us today. ERS training tomorrow morning at 9:15. If you want to just get better at talking the talk, we do dialogue training, role playing every Wednesday, 9:15 in the training room, or you can Zoom in via the Team Up calendar. And so I hope to see you guys there. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I'm teaching time management this week. And so I did? Oh, sorry. Well, let me tell you one more time. 1 o'clock Wednesday. I hope to see you guys there. I'm not kidding. No matter where you're at in your business, every time you go talk to a coach and you're like, I just feel like I'm struggling, the thing they're going to focus on is time management. Because until you put it on your calendar, it is just a wish. So let's make those things happen. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Thursday, I want you guys to hear this. Boot camp is at 1 o'clock. It's not at 11 o'clock. This is the one time that I will be going over to Key Realty to present. So 1 o'clock. What time is boot camp? 1 o'clock. Thank you. You guys haven't been very responsive today, so I'm really proud of you that you are all finally awake an hour into this. Thank you. I am going to really quick ask Annie, because I didn't get to talk to her before she got here. Did you have something you want to chat about today? Sure. All right. We'll have Annie from Landmark come up real quick. I mean, really, we could always tell them how to write it into their purchase agreement, too.
Hey guys, I'm Annie from Landmark. So to write into the contract, please do Landmark/Meadows.
Yep. You want to make sure you are noting the escrow company and the title company. Landmark is escrow, Meadows is title.
Yes.
And then, of course, you want to make sure that you put Annie Sawyer on there, too.
Oh yes, that's the most important.
That's the most important part. Do you have any tips for us today?
Actually, I did want to talk about the statement of information forms. Just in case your seller does call you as a asking what it is. So oftentimes if your seller has a very common name, let's say his name is John Smith, I can probably guarantee you that title will come back and ask for him to fill out the statement of information form. That's just to clear any judgments that may come up. It's not to alarm your seller, it's just standard protocol. So it could be a child support or employment judgment. We just have to make sure we don't have to pay off any other creditor with the sale of the home.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Annie. One big clap for Annie. Those statement of information forms make people really nervous. If you guys haven't been through that yet, they will call you and say, what is this? They're asking me more information on here. Actually fill out the mortgage information. And it's really just to prove that they are who they say they are. And so just let them know that information is staying right there with the escrow. I don't even take those forms from them. I just have it go directly to escrow. That was not working. And then I think Amy has a quick shout out, and then I'll let you guys get back to breakfast and your day.
So 2 quick things. One, let's bring it back to Tom Ferry. You all know I love Tony Robbins. That special is still going till the end of this month, where you can do the UPW class that's normally $800, signing up for only $395. And why I was saying bring it back to the Tom Ferry, if you want to be doing, it's what Tony Robbins calls priming. Go on his YouTube channel where he talks about stacking that gratitude, starting your day and thinking of all of the things that you are grateful in your life, your college degree, your mother, your parents, your children, your pets, whatever it is, bringing that in, focusing on that, starting that day is a much more energizing, exciting way to actually get stuff going.